Right then, England. A land of tea, crumpets, and, well, if we're honest, rain. But hey, the rain just adds to the charm, doesn't it?
Absolutely. England, where the weather's unpredictable, the castles are grand, and no one knows quite why we love queuing so much. We're here to take you on a tour of the top 10 places to visit in good old Blighty.
Whether you're a fan of rolling hills, ancient monuments, or just want to see where they filmed Harry Potter, we've got something for you. And if any of these places tickle your fancy, you'll find links in the description below.
Right, grab your umbrella, or maybe a stiff upper lip, and let's get cracking with Traveluptuous. Ah, the Lake District, where the lakes are big, the mountains are bigger, and the sheep outnumber the people.
It's the place where poets go to be inspired. I mean, Wordsworth wrote about daffodils here. Imagine hiking up Scafell Pike and then daffodils. That's some next-level creativity, right?
Totally. And it's not just for poets. If you're into hiking, kayaking, or even just gazing dramatically over misty lakes, this is your jam. Plus, there's something quite magical about those lakes, almost like they're watching you, silently.
Just keep an eye on the sheep. They're cheeky, those lot. But if you want peace, quiet, and a bit of reflective time to write your own poetry or grocery list, the Lake District is your place. Ah, the Cotswolds. It's like someone took all of England's most charming villages, sprinkled them with fairy dust and said, yep, this'll do.
Exactly. Rolling hills, honey-coloured cottages, and towns with names like Bourton-on-the-Water and Stow-on-the-Wold. It sounds like something out of a children's book. You half expect Mr. Tumnus to come walking out of one of those cottages with tea.
It's the place to go if you fancy slow walks, cozy pubs, and feeling like you've stepped into a postcard. But let's be real. After an hour or two, you'll start wondering if it's all a bit too perfect.
Ah, but that's the charm. If you ever wanted to feel like an extra in a Jane Austen adaptation, this is your spot. Just don't forget your bonnet and shawl. Brighton. The city that's bohemian one minute and seaside chaos the next. It's famous for its pier and pebble beach. Two things that are fun until you realise that walking on pebbles is like some medieval form of punishment.
That's right. You'll want a cushion for that sunbathing session. But it's all part of Brighton's quirky charm. You've got fish and chips in one hand and the constant battle to defend them from the seagulls with the other.
Ah yes, the seagulls, those feathered ninjas. But Brighton's more than just chips and birds. There's the lanes, like a treasure hunt for hipsters. You can find everything from vintage clothes to, I don't know, a taxidermied badger wearing sunglasses.
It's a place where art, music, and eccentricity meet the seaside. Just be prepared for an overwhelming number of vintage shops, quirky cafes, and people riding bicycles, very ironically.
And now, Liverpool. Home of the Beatles, football, and the finest collection of museums and galleries this side of the River Mersey.
That's right. Liverpool isn't just about the Fab Four, although it's hard not to hum a Beatles tune while you're walking around. This city's got culture dripping from every corner. There's the Royal Albert Dock, an architectural beauty packed with history.
And let's not forget the football. Whether you're a red or a blue, you'll find passion here that rivals even the fiercest rivalry over the last slice of cake.
It's a city with an energy that'll have you singing Hey Jude at the top of your lungs, or at least thinking about it. Museums, music, and Mersey. What more could you want? Ah, York. A city so steeped in history you could trip over it, and if you do, you'll probably land on a medieval cobblestone.
York's got the kind of charm that makes you want to don a suit of armour and say forsooth to strangers. With its towering York Minster and winding narrow streets, you feel like you've stepped back in time.
And the Shambles, now that's a street. With timber frame buildings leaning so close together, it feels like you could play a game of catch across the rooftops.
It's also famous for its ghost tours. Because apparently if you stick around long enough in York, you will run into a ghost. Or at least someone pretending to be one for the tourists.
Cambridge, where minds have been nurtured for centuries, and people punt lazily down rivers because walking is overrated.
Punting is like the gondolas of Venice, but with more tweed and fewer love songs. It's the perfect way to feel intellectual without actually having to do anything remotely intellectual.
And then there's the architecture, those Gothic towers and spires. You can almost feel your IQ rise just walking around, or at least your desire to sit in a coffee shop and look like you're writing a thesis.
Don't forget King's College Chapel. It's basically the building that makes you think, yeah, maybe I could have gone to Cambridge, while knowing full well you couldn't have passed the entrance exam. Oxford, the rival to Cambridge, in a way that's far too polite to ever turn into an actual argument. But you know it's there.
Oh, definitely. If Cambridge is all floating down the river, Oxford's all dreaming spires. They've got libraries that look like they could store the world's knowledge, and probably do.
It's the kind of place that makes you want to put on a robe and have a philosophical debate over afternoon tea. Just make sure you pronounce scones the right way, or you'll be exiled.
It's scones, actually.
No, it's not. It's scones.
Scones. Anyway, if you're into history, academics, and books older than your grandparents, Oxford is a must-see. Just don't get run over by one of the thousands of bicycles flying past. Stonehenge, one of England's great mysteries. It's like a bunch of massive rocks got together and said, let's confuse people for a few thousand years.
Was it aliens, a calendar, a druid rock band setting up for their next gig? We'll never know, but it's fun to guess.
Standing in front of it, you can't help but wonder how on earth they managed to move those stones. And then you realize no one's offering to move them again, so they must have done a good job.
If you like ancient mysteries or just really big rocks, this is the place for you. And remember to take a photo, because nothing says England like a selfie with a prehistoric monument. Bath, where the Romans decided, let's make this a spa town. And the Georgians said, good idea, but let's also make it really fancy.
Exactly, you've got Roman baths, still bubbling away because apparently ancient plumbing really works. And Georgian architecture so perfect you'll want to strut down the street like you're in a period drama.
It's the kind of city where you can relax in a thermal bath in the morning and then pretend you're Mr. Darcy by the afternoon. If that's not multitasking, I don't know what is.
If you're a fan of history, architecture, and serious pampering, Bath is your perfect mix of ancient and indulgent. But before we get to our top pick, don't forget to hit subscribe for more quirky adventures from Traveluptuous.
That's right. And if any of these places tickle your fancy, check the links in the description to plan your own trip. England's waiting for you. And here we are, London, the city that never sleeps, probably because it's waiting for the next tube delay announcement.
Exactly. London's got more history than you can shake a beefeater's spear at. Buckingham Palace, the Tower of London, Big Ben, it's like walking through a living museum.
Not to mention the food. You can have fish and chips in the morning, a curry in Brick Lane for lunch, and some fancy French patisserie by the evening. It's like the world's buffet.
And don't get me started on the markets. Camden, Borough, Spitalfields. It's like every corner of London is selling something unique. Just don't lose your way in the tube. It's a labyrinth down there.
And there you have it, the top 10 places to visit in England. From the tranquil beauty of the Lake District to the vibrant chaos of London, there's something for everyone.
So, which spot are you booking your ticket for? Let us know in the comments. And remember, whether it's history, mystery, or just good fish and chips, England's got you covered.
Thanks for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe for more wild, wonderful travel adventures with Traveluptuous, where every trip is an adventure and every adventure's a bit bonkers.